A very warm good morning to all of viewers today. We are here in order to discuss some words and phrases that is quite frequently used in IELTS essay. And to enlighten us through the journey, we have Abraham Virgis, who was working as a barrister in London and had been there in the UK for about 45 years. So welcome to the session, sir.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
So the word is be proactive, not being proactive, but be proactive.
Yes. Well, I am glad for that differentiation. It makes it a little bit more easy for me to manage to try and limit my expressions about it. To be proactive, you have got to have that kind of mentality that you wish to be active, to do something constructive. Otherwise, the consequences could be disastrous. Or there will be some damages that follow. Or the result, it will not be what you anticipate and what you wish for. Being proactive or to be proactive, both is actually doing it while it is necessary. So for example, an engineer or a town planner or a city planner will say, we need lights at these junctures. We need lights to highlight the zebra crossings, okay? Because you are trying to be proactive in anticipation of there likely to be an event that is damaging, that is life destroying. It is also a necessary caution that drivers must take care. In other words, just that the vehicle moves is not driving, but knowing the rules of the road is part of driving. You have to be proactive to anticipate, for example, what am I going to be doing tomorrow? It doesn't mean that you're inviting fate by wishing something that might go totally wrong. It just means that you are alert to what you possibly need to do tomorrow, right, if tomorrow possibly comes. Okay?
Right.
And that sign is a sign of responsibility. It's a sign of an organized mind. It's a sign that people who have experience will recognize.
Right.
Okay.
Shall we move on, sir?
Well, indeed, I'm entirely in your hands.
Right. The next phrase that I'm going to introduce to you is something that is very relevant in the post-COVID scenario. It is digital divide. Could you enlighten us?
Well, I don't know whether I'll be enlightening you all because I'm sure most of you all know more about it than I do, because people of my generation lag behind very badly in the digital world. And it is understandable, even though we were the ones, and it was during our time, and people of our age or similar ages who actually created these instruments of science that are extremely helpful. And it is people like our present leadership who have made sure that it is promoted and that it's applicable to everyone. It is, of course, a great handicap to many elderly people. It is, of course, difficult to understand and comprehend for older people, but help is at hand. Their children are very capable, and the younger generation will be entering into a new phase of life where digitalization becomes the norm. Okay? What all will really practically change as far as work relationships or teaching relationships or flying relationships or traveling relationships is yet to be seen. We can only guess at this stage that it will be quite different from what we have. And this is, after all, what happens with each and every generation, from the radio to the present day instruments of music. In those days, it was a huge place to go to and deal with a computer. Today, your thumbnail is the size of a computer. Okay, therein lies the difference.
Thank you so much, sir. Moving on, subjective view. Can you tell me what you feel or what comes to your mind when you hear that? That's, I believe, exactly the meaning of subjective view.
Yes, it is indeed. As opposed to objective view. Subjective view is what you take as your rationale, and it is your reasoning, putting together certain facts to reach a conclusion that becomes your rationale. Okay? And so when you begin to rationalize matters, let's say in an argument, you effectively make it into a singular state of understanding, so that it carries all the meaning that you have. Okay? And what you are then putting forward is your personal views. You're not, on the other side, looking at something from your point of view to observe what is going on elsewhere and having an opinion about it. When you bring forward a subjective view, very often you cannot take into account what people otherwise would think. In other words, you are likely to miss the objective view, and it becomes very personalized. Okay? So, in many ways, a subjective view by itself is limited, but it is your view, having rationalized it to the point whereby you can put it in a form that is actually totally subjective and it relates to you. Okay?
Thank you so much, sir.
That's all.
Yes, let's go to the next one.
Yes?
Conscription.
Conscription.
What can you tell me about it?
Conscription is an old system whereby people were more or less required to join some force or the other, normally the armed forces, and be conscripted. It was particularly famous during the Vietnam War, where the Americans lost a lot of people and found that if they wanted to control the Vietnamese and the Cambodians and the Laotians and all that, who were getting help from the Chinese, that they needed to conscript more people into the forces. And the process of doing that is called conscription. Now, you will also possibly remember, or maybe many of you all don't know, that Muhammad Ali, previously known as Cassius Clay, the world famous boxer, he had a moral objection to conscription. He says something to the effect that he doesn't like to kill people. And it became a big issue because then he would also be considered as anti-American, okay? Not a nationalist. But he was prepared to face all that and did so successfully and gave conscription effectively the meaning of something that you are doing involuntarily, okay? In other words, you really have little choice. But those who wish to exercise their choice, like Muhammad Ali, and a person as big as him, then I certainly feel that you have that choice.
Wow, thank you, sir.
All right.